29th of August 2023. This is one of that Let's Talk Skidmarks of mine. And in this one I want to talk about tribes. But before I'm going to talk about tribes, I want to remind you of something. The Kalergi Plan. Genocide of all white people. The future man will be a mixed race. As for Pan-Europe, I wish to see a Eurasian Negroid mixture with great variation in personality types. The Jews shall take the leading positions, since Providence, God, has given Europe a spiritually superior race of nobility called the Jews. The white races of Europe should be destroyed and replaced with a race of Eurasian Negroids, who can be easily controlled by us ruling elite. Count Richard von Coudenhof Kalergi, founder and president of the Pan-European Union for 49 years, written in his book Praktischer Idealismus 1924. Now, those of you that follow my channel knows that I talk about the triple X. Now the triple X has got three components. One is the global capitalists. Two is Klaus Schwab and his merry band, WEF. And third is these fuckers that I've been reading to you about now. But that's a protected species. If I mention that name, I'm running a risk. And you must let this sink in. Stop the video and go back and look at what I have read to you. That is their plan. Now we know that this new world order that everybody is talking about, the original one, is part of the triple X plan. Now, Putin threw the Rothschilds out of Russia, out of their central bank. Because that is how they control the world, through the central banks. Putin threw them out of Russia. He threw the GMO shit out of Russia. He closed all the NGOs, that Soros-funded NGOs, he closed them down, banned them in Russia. He cleaned Russia up. Triple X doesn't have a grip there. And then there's stupid people that make comments on my channel and they make insinuations that Putin is part of the WEF and all that cuck. They don't understand because they don't read. The reality is, if you are a white person, this hook-noses wants you destroyed. Remember that. Don't think it's a joke. I don't care where on the globe you live. They're going to come for you. Understand that. And they are doing a lot of their shit. If you look at what's happening in Britain, Britain is being invaded. And the bulk of those people that stream onto your beaches in Britain is young, virile men. The same happens in Europe. Young, virile men. Very few women and children with them. Those are the triple X soldiers. Fucking you may think I'm off my rocker or what. Same shit is happening in America. Go and look at what's happening on your southern border. Look at what is coming over that border. Young, virile men. That is the triple X soldiers. I've mentioned it, I've seen a document that was circulating at the UN. Their plan is 100 million invaders into America. And they take America over and they amalgamate America, Canada and Mexico in one block. Now you must understand, for this triple X plans to work, they need to conglomerate as much as possible. What is the reason for that? First of all, in that mixed pot, people, individuals, will lose their cultural bonds first. Now, the cultural war, you must think about what I'm saying now. The cultural war is being waged heavily. It started off here in South Africa with the NG Kerk approving mixed marriages. The next thing that they approved was same-sex marriages. What are they doing? They're dismantling our culture and our religion at one shot. Now I'm talking to the South Africans. You must understand, here in South Africa, they couldn't apply the same principles that they are applying in Europe by promoting mixed marriages, and they want to breed the white race out. And those WEF soldiers are there to impregnate the white women in Europe and in England, and in America it's going to happen as well. So the woman, our woman, is their prime target. Don't forget that. But in South Africa they couldn't do that due to demographics. So what did they do here? They brought this ANC cabal. They pre-packaged it, Mandela at the head, and they put them down. They first had to get us, the whites, out of control. And then they put that joker pack down. Fully under control of the XXX. Don't you bluff yourself. There's not one of that ANC seniors that can dare go against what XXX is telling them. And for the South Africans, the Stellenbosch Mafia and Rupert and Oppenheimers, all of those, they're part of the XXX. Don't forget it, they're part of XXX. Okay, so in South Africa they couldn't breed a colored population that will suit them. As he says, as this Kalergi says, the white races of Europe should be destroyed and replaced with a race of Eurasian Negroids who can be easily controlled by us, the ruling elite. They couldn't do that. So what did they do? They started this SASA breeding plan, which bred for them millions. In the past 30 years, over 18 million has already been bred. Think about that, 18 million. But those people that they're breeding, they've got no culture, they've got no cultural ties with their tribes. They're cosmopolitan. They want to dress in Western clothes, they want the bling of the Western lifestyle, they want the cars and the houses and all of that consumer shit. That is what they focused on, and that is what their lives are around. If he has a cell phone in hand, he feels like he has arrived. Those people can be easily controlled by XXX, and that is what they're doing. They're using the ANC to control these people. And the British, from the British side, and you guys must not forget the British, I mean those evil fuckers that, they are controlling Malema. So they've got the black population fairly under control. But there is a block, there's a large block of traditionalists. And Zuma was one of that. That is why they had to get rid of him at all cost. So, this conglomerations, like the EU, that thing must break apart or the people in Europe is gonna be fucked. The reality is, these conglomerations makes it easy for them to manipulate the whole economical environment, everything. Social environment, everything. And what they fear most is a movement back to tribes, where the tribal council decides what happens on the tribal land. And now I have to talk about this. These racist blacks, militant blacks with "we want the land, we want the land, we want the land." You are screaming, "we want the land," but your shouting, "we want the land," is based on a fallacy that you cannot grasp, because XXX made sure that your fucking education levels of such that you reach matric and you can't read properly. There are historical documents, signed, agreements signed and acknowledged by most of the major operators in the world. Legal documents that gives certain sections of South Africa to the Boere. The Boere, not the Afrikaners, the Boere. Afrikaners, they never actually owned land because they were British subjects by choice. The Boere. The Boere republics is evidence of that. At this day, as I'm talking to you now, the only tribe and nation in South Africa that actually owns their land is the Zulus with the Ngonyama Trust. They have their land under their control, under their tribal management systems. That land is under their control, it's theirs. Now what you racist, "we want the land" shouters must ask yourself, what the fuck happened to the Transkei land? What happened to the Ciskei land? What happened to all these, as you called it, Bantustan land? That was tribal land. Where is that land now? Who controls that land? I can tell you this, not the whites. We don't control. Your fucking government has got that land under his control, and they don't want to give you land. This ANC government, this ANC cabal, has taken all that land under their control on instruction from the fucking XXX. So XXX actually owns that land because your government officials, these people in charge of South Africa, they can do fuck all without instructions from XXX. And that is what is your problem. You racist, militant little blacks. Youngsters that run around and burn and break and destroy and destruct and shout, "we want the land, we want the land." Your fucking government has got your land, not the whites. The whites don't have your fucking land. But, and now you're gonna most probably have something explode in your brain, because I'm going to tell you, you are fucking stupid. But you're stupid by design. They did it to you on purpose. As I've mentioned earlier, I sit in a discussion and there's Nigerian guys there, and they say clearly that according to them, the dumbest blacks in the world lives in South Africa. Ask yourself why. You must ask yourself why. Why was your school system destroyed and destructed? And what was the main tools that were used to fuck your schools up, your education system up? A union. A union was used because your schools are managed by a union. And you know that these union leaders, they live there in the rich suburbs in Joburg. Fancy cars, fancy houses, fancy money, happy. They don't give a fuck for you. The reality is, under the apartheid regime, almost everybody was working. Everybody had a job. And having a job gives a man dignity. It gives him dignity because at the end of the month, he gets paid a salary. And with that salary, he can spend that salary on him and his family and buy things they want and need. That is what a job does. And the ANC destroyed the jobs. You do not understand how fucking evil this ANC government really is. You don't understand. Before your eyes, they are destroying the health services. You, the Sasa generation, you are too young to remember the days. The Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, that was a hospital of world class. You walked in there, you paid R2, and you get open heart surgery from some of the best surgeons in the world. What do you get there today? You must answer that to yourself. Look at the condition of the hospitals. This is what your government is doing to you. This is why I'm saying you must find your tribe. The tribes must take back their tribal land and sort out their issues with their neighboring tribes themselves. No politicians involved. No politicians. The tribal leaders must sort this shit out. Because the tribal leaders live among the tribe and the tribe people. And they don't do things that is to the disadvantage of their people, because they must look their people in the eyes. This ANC cabal, they sit in fancy suburbs, far away from you. They're well cared for. They don't give a continental fuck whether you are out of electricity for 6 hours a day, if you're out of water for 24 hours or for 48 hours or for 24 days. They don't give a fuck because all their stuff is working. And that is something that you must understand. And it's only your tribe and your tribal elders that can protect you. And take this serious. It is only the tribes that is going to survive. The tribes will survive. None of these global bodies and global institutions and unifying fucking bodies, things like the EU, those things is not going to survive, because the people is going to be fighting for their personal survival, and they're going to need their tribe members with them. Shoulder by shoulder they'll fight that. Guys, there's a lot of South Africans that haven't got a fucking clue what's going on in China, and you can see it from some of the stupid comments that is made. But after the Tiananmen Square fiasco, the Chinese Communist Party realized that they better start listening to the people or they're not going to last. And you must understand, there is no government organization in the world that can really survive if the population turns against them. Let's take South Africa. 450 parliamentarians, 790,000 cabinet ministers and all that cock. Put them all together. They are not even a percentage point of the population of South Africa. So if the whole of South Africa, all the people, all the tribes come together and say, listen, we've had enough of this shit. You wipe this government out overnight. But that will only happen once the tribes realize that if they don't act, they are going to be wiped out. Because you must understand and accept the fact that XXX don't make empty promises. And they said they want 85% of the global population gone. But they've got now a fucking problem, because the Chinese and the Russians told them to fuck off west. And the Indians is also not going to listen to their shit. So there's more than half of the population of the globe already. So that wet dream they had of cutting 85% of the population of the world is out of the fucking door. So they're going to stick to their 85%, but they're going to apply it to the West. And the West is about 20% of the global population. So you guys in the West must understand something. There's going to be a very fucking small number of you left over after they're done with you. They're going to fuck England up. Don't forget it. England is done. Europe is done. Whites is done. As it is, white people is about 8% of the world population. That's a small number. And then there's the other reality, that white people are not breeding enough. The average per couple, the average children per woman, under 2, and it must be 2.2 for the tribe to grow. It's under 2 for most countries. There's many countries where it's close to 1. So whites are going to go extinct. Whites is going to go extinct actually almost automatically, naturally. They're on the extinction path. So these blacks that are so focused on, let's hate the whites, let's kill the whites, let's fuck the whites up, let's do that to whites. They must go and sit for a moment and look around them and then see what are they enjoying, what makes their lives worth living. And then they must just remember that most of that is provided by white innovation. So take the whites away, and the result is clear for you to see, just across the Limpopo, Zimbabwe. They pushed all the whites out. That country is fucked. And I know there's a few clever guys here in South Africa that are now circulating videos of bumper crop harvest that Zimbabwe had and all types of shit like that. And there's this very smooth talking guy that tells you about all the economical development. And that guy, that smooth talker, is an agent. Let me tell you, he's an agent. Because you go and ask the average Zimbabwean and he will tell you unemployment, that is on their table every day. That country is fucked. Zambia stepped away from that shit, and Zambia is growing. Botswana is also not playing that game. Same, Namibia is also not playing that game. They understand that every person in their countries contributes to the economy of the country and therefore contribute to the good of everybody. Here in South Africa, unemployment 43%, over 17 million people on SASA. Now you must understand, and I have to explain this. If I talk about the SASA brigade, I'm talking about the people that were born due to the SASA baby grant breeding plan. There are other people getting SASA, pensioners, disability and things like that. But I'm specific, if I talk about the SASA brigade, I'm talking about those children that were part of that breeding plan. So let me make that clear. Now the tribes will have to get together and sort this shit out on tribal level. And the tribes must take their land back. There are internationally recognized areas, maps demarcated. Where is the tribes? What is their tribal land? And as I said, Zulus has got theirs. They insisted on having it before 94. These others surrendered their land. They surrendered their tribal land to the government. And the government smiles. The government smiles. It's actually not they that smiles. Triple X is smiling because they've got control over all that land. And you must understand one thing. The only way that the power of Triple X can be broken is by the tribes. Tribes. And that is for America and Europe and England. They'll have to go back to tribal level, to take their tribal land under their control and throw the fucking XXX out. Disown them. Do what Putin did. Putin showed you how to do it. Putin showed you how to break the power of the XXX. He showed it clearly. Our problem in South Africa is there is at least 11 ethnic groups here. And all of them does not agree, but they're all under threat from XXX. And I'm saying it again, this Sasa Brigade, you cheer with Malema. That racism message is a plan to destroy our society while they steal everything we have. Everything. So, let me end this with this message. It is only the tribes that is going to survive. And you better make sure that you know your tribe and that your tribe know you. Please give me a like, subscribe, and share the thing. And I want to thank the people that are supporting the channel financially. It makes a huge difference. And somebody has made a remark that, yeah, it's a money-making racket. He's talking shit. I spend 14 to 18 hours a day on the channel. And that is my time. Now, you use your time to earn money to look after your family. I have only a wife, but we do have things that we have to pay and buy. And yes, I need the support. And as I've said it, I can never go for a channel sponsor or something like that. My channel is too, let's say, over the edge for a brand to tie them to me, because that can cost them, especially if they don't have guts. But that's just a joke. You don't need guts. I understand that 100%. But the reality is, my mission is to tell you the truth and show you the things that the XXX controlled media will never show you. Have a great evening.